Ancient myths often personified natural elements as deities. For example, the Greek god Zeus was associated with thunder and lightning. Myths provided explanations for the creation of the world. The Babylonian epic Enuma Elish describes the creation of the universe from chaos. Flood myths are common across many cultures. The story of Noah's Ark in the Bible is one of the most well-known flood myths. Myths helped people understand the cycles of nature. The Greek myth of Persephone explained the changing seasons. Many cultures used myths to explain the origins of humans. The Chinese myth of Pangu describes the first human emerging from a cosmic egg. Myths often contained moral lessons. The fable of the tortoise and the hare teaches the value of perseverance over arrogance. Myths were used to justify social and political structures. The divine right of kings in medieval Europe was supported by religious and mythological narratives. Myths provided a framework for understanding the unknown. Norse myths about the 9 worlds helped explain the mysteries of the cosmos. Myths often included heroic figures who embodied cultural values. Hercules in Greek mythology represented strength and courage. Myths could be used to explain natural disasters. The Hindu myth of the churning of the ocean explains the origin of earthquakes. Myths often had a strong influence on art and literature. Shakespeare's plays frequently drew on classical myths, such as A Midsummer Night's Dream. Myths were used to explain the movements of celestial bodies. The Greek myth of Apollo driving the sun chariot across the sky explained the daily movement of the sun. Myths often involved supernatural beings. In Celtic mythology, fairies and other magical creatures played significant roles. Myths could be used to explain human emotions. The Greek myth of Eros and Psyche explored themes of love and desire. Myths often included stories of transformation. The metamorphosis of Daphne into a laurel tree in Greek mythology is a classic example. Myths were used to explain the origins of animals. The Australian Aboriginal myth of the rainbow serpent explains the creation of various animals. Myths often included tales of creation and destruction. The Norse myth of Ragnarok predicted the end of the world and its rebirth. Myths could be used to explain the cycle of life and death. The Egyptian myth of Osiris and Isis dealt with themes of resurrection and rebirth. Myths often included epic journeys. The Greek hero Odysseus' 10-year journey home in the Odyssey is a famous example. Myths could be used to explain the origins of language. The Hindu myth of Brahma creating the alphabet is one such example. Myths often included tales of tricksters. The Native American trickster Coyote is known for his cunning and mischief. Myths were used to explain the origins of diseases. In Greek mythology, the god Apollo was believed to send plagues. Myths often included stories of divine punishment. The biblical story of Sodom and Gomorrah illustrates divine retribution. Myths could be used to explain the origins of different races. The Greek myth of Deucalion and Pyrrha explains the creation of different peoples. Myths often included tales of divine intervention in human affairs. The biblical story of Moses parting the Red Sea is a powerful example. Myths were used to explain the origins of natural landmarks. The Greek myth of the Pillars of Hercules explains the formation of the Strait of Gibraltar. Myths often included stories of divine love. The Roman myth of Venus and Adonis explores themes of passion and tragedy. Myths could be used to explain the origins of music. The Greek myth of Orpheus and his lyre highlights the power of music. Myths often included tales of divine jealousy. The Greek myth of Hera's jealousy toward Zeus's lovers and children is a recurring theme. Myths were used to explain the origins of agriculture. The Greek myth of Demeter and Persephone explains the cycle of planting and harvesting. Myths often included stories of divine wisdom. The Greek goddess Athena was revered for her wisdom and strategic thinking. Myths could be used to explain the origins of festivals. The Roman festival of Saturnalia honored the god Saturn and involved feasting and gift-giving. Myths often included tales of divine wrath. The Greek myth of the Titanomachy describes the war between the Titans and the Olympians. Myths were used to explain the origins of different crafts. The Greek myth of Hephaestus, the god of blacksmiths, explains the origins of metalworking. Myths often included stories of divine healing. The Greek god Asclepius was the patron of medicine and healing. Myths could be used to explain the origins of different languages. The biblical story of the Tower of Babel explains the diversity of human languages. Myths often included tales of divine guidance. The Greek myth of the oracle at Delphi provided guidance and prophecies. Myths were used to explain the origins of different seasons. The Norse myth of Baldur's death and resurrection explains the cycle of winter and spring. Myths often included stories of divine protection. The Greek myth of Athena protecting the city of Athens is a notable example. Myths could be used to explain the origins of different animals. The Greek myth of the phoenix explains the concept of rebirth and immortality. Myths often included tales of divine retribution. The Greek myth of Arachne being turned into a spider by Athena is a story of hubris and punishment. Myths were used to explain the origins of different plants. The Greek myth of Hyacinthus explains the origin of the hyacinth flower. Myths often included stories of divine rivalry. The Greek myth of the contest between Athena and Poseidon for the patronage of Athens is a classic example. Myths could be used to explain the origins of different minerals. The Greek myth of Hades and the underworld explains the presence of precious metals and gems. Myths often included tales of divine judgment. The Greek myth of the Fates, Moirai, determined the lifespan and destiny of mortals. Myths were used to explain the origins of different natural disasters. The Greek myth of the god Poseidon causing earthquakes explains the unpredictability of the earth. Myths often included stories of divine testing. The biblical story of Job's trials and tribulations is a testament to faith and endurance. Myths could be used to explain the origins of different celestial events. The Greek myth of the Pleiades explains the appearance of the star cluster in the night sky. Myths often included tales of divine intervention in battles. The Greek myth of the Trojan War features numerous instances of divine assistance and interference. Myths were used to explain the origins of different cultural practices. The Greek myth of Dionysus and the invention of wine explains the cultural significance of winemaking. In short, mythology has been used to make sense of the world and human behavior throughout history.